Welcome back to my backyard snack yard. We're out here looking at berry bushes again. Ones that are very dormant. These are wonderful, wonderful white currant bushes. I've got a little trio of them here. There's one in the back there, and there's one here in the front too. They really do love sun and they just grow so well. And the most amazing thing about them is, of course, first how they look. They're like little gems, little jewels, little round, beautiful, gorgeous glass pearls dangling, and they're ripe, so gorgeous, and they're so sweet, and they're actually a bit like grapes, but they have a really special sort of tartness to them too. They're just really unique. I absolutely adore them. If you haven't tried them, they're definitely worth trying, definitely worth growing as well. Now, these are the white ones. I've got some red ones elsewhere and some pink ones too, which is so beautiful. And I also have, of course, black currants. They're much more common. They are, at least here in the UK, super popular. They're used for making a really nice cordial that children just absolutely adore, or at least tend to. Mine do. And it's so popular that they harvest tons and tons of it every year here in the UK and make a little Ribena drink out of it. And I do have some black currants here too, which are really yummy, and they're extra large. They're called Big Ben. So definitely a good cultivar if you want to have some black currants. But the reason we're looking at these ones right now is because I don't have the most sunny garden, and so I thought, why not try to grow one of these in a pot, just to really give it the best space. These guys have been in this spot for a few years, and I do get a good harvest of them. The birds really love them, and I don't net them, so I don't get very many. And I thought if I have one in a pot, I could net it really easily and really sort of monitor it and get the most out of it. So I have one I want to pot up. But before I do that, I just want to show you a few other members of this family. This thorny mess here is another member of the family, and it is gooseberries. These ones are hinonmaki, green and red, so it's two different bushes, and they just produce a huge amount of green and red gooseberries. They are so delicious and so beautiful, and this particular cultivar is really good at not getting moldy, because they do tend to easily get mold issues. I think, yeah, there's some growing there. They're starting to open up a bit, really starting to break bud. They're often very early. I think it's the red ones. Yeah, the red ones are no, that is the green one. They've kind of grown into each other a little bit. And I do also have a really interesting standard one. Let me show you. And here, when I say standard, it's because you see it's been grafted onto that long stick there and shaped like that, and has wonderful branches, super duper thorny, but it produces really delicious sort of almost orange berries. Well, a little bit orange, a little bit reddish. Really lovely ones. I think they're called Blush or something like that. I'll just check the name. And look at this little pinstripe pinrose down here. I think it's called Zebra. It's just waking up now. It's a few years old actually. There's some more common yellow ones in the background over there. Lovely. And here, if you can focus, is a little pot full of my gooseberry cuttings that I took last year when I pruned my gooseberries. And they're all growing, and I was trying to shape them and make them into long, tall ones. We're going to see how this is going to go. But the thing about these kind of berry bushes is that they really, really easily grow from cuttings. You can pretty much just snip something off, put it in a pot of soil, and it should root. So it's a really easy one to propagate and make a big bunch of, which is really fun. So I'm going to be potting these guys up later on in the spring, I think. But you can see there is some little growth on them now. They're starting to open up again, wake up a bit. See that? It's really hard to see because it's so brown everywhere. Such a dull day in the beginning of February. Look at all these fat buds on the black currants too. They're going to be so gorgeous. And they look like they're ready for an early start as well this year. There's another one over there. So those red little buds. Lovely. So here is the new little white currant that I want to pot up. He's the same cultivar as the others, so he's white Versailles. and he just looks really good shape and size. He should fruit in a few months now. Got lots of lovely flower buds. And I've got a really good size pot for him here. Like a big size up. He can stay in there for quite some time, I'd say a few years. And I've got myself a nice big mix of compost. And there's some fish blood and bone in there. So I always like to use that. And also some of my homemade worm compost. So lots of goodness. I'm going to get into this pot here and we'll pot this guy up. The main reason for doing it right now is because it's still middle of winter, February, and it's going to be quite cold in the coming days. We're going to have like temperature drops down to -1 degree Celsius. So I want to keep him in somewhere where his roots won't get hurt. And actually when it does freeze, I tend to cover lots of these plants around here. So let's go with this. All right, there it is, nicely potted up. And as you can see, there's a physalis behind it, all shrouded, ready for cold nights ahead. So I'll be throwing some blankets over these guys too. Tonight it should be okay. The lowest we're going to get is about 2 degrees Celsius. So after that, we're going to get some really cold temperatures. And I'll be covering these guys up properly with sheets and things. But just before I go, I'll show you one more member of this family, which I've got just down here. Down this little pathway behind the house. We've got one that did actually fruit last year. It's called a Jostaberry. He is a tribrid, a mix between 2 types of gooseberries and a black currant. He's got so many buds on him. He's really spread out. It's a really big plant. I think he's about 3 years old now. 3 or 4 years old. He fruited last year, and hopefully we'll get lots and lots of fruits this year. We have another bush elsewhere in the garden from when I pruned him. I just popped some little cuttings into the ground and they took off. So we have one more. Sometimes little cuttings get uprooted by birds and inquisitive little creatures. So it's always nice when you get a few extra plants. And this one's looking so good and so big. I'm so looking forward to all the berries in the months to come. Thank you for watching on this very grey February day, and I'll see you next time.